Blaine and Mickey, 104.5 The Zone. Thanks for hanging out with us on Friday. It is draft season. Few people know the draft like our friend Justin Melo, so we continue to call him, and he continues to answer just like he did. Again, he is at @JustinM_NFL, Draft Network, Titans MCM, Broadway TN, and everywhere. He's so coveted. You don't even have enough space on the paper to write down all the outlets he's writing for right now. Melo, just think about this, man. A week from today, 32 people will have been chosen in the NFL. We won't even be talking about what-ifs anymore, at least for 32 people.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, man. I'm not going to lie to you. It's been a fun process, but to paint you a picture of what my life is like right now, I've got 6 interviews today. I've had an agent call me and say, I got the kid in front of me right now. You want to do a 7th? And I said, well, a little bit of heads up would have been nice. So I'm having a lot of fun, but I'm certainly ready for Thursday to get here as well.
Wow. People want to talk to you, man. They're just they're doing anything they can to get their prospects to get that ink from Justin Melo. So let me ask you, of all these guys that you've talked to and all these guys that you've studied, your current favorite middle or late round guy. So not some quarterback that everybody likes or some hot shot wide receiver, middle to late round guy that you really like.
Yeah, that's tough. I think one that I'm a big fan. There's some really good stories I'll tell you about in a second, but one that I'm a big fan of, and I think he might go earlier than mid, but Javon Baker, the wide receiver out of UCF. I think people are making a bit of a mistake here when he gets lost in the shuffle. Don't let that happen. You know, he went to the Senior Bowl. He had a really good week, and I understand this is a really, really deep receivers class. But if you look at some of the advanced metrics, some of the stuff that are telltale signs of pro success at the next level, there's some really good things that you can use to make those predictions. Javon Baker checks a lot of those boxes. One of them, yards per route run, average yards after catch per reception, separation ability. If you look at his reception perception profile, if you're not familiar with that, it's a fantastic tool put together a couple of years ago by Matt Harmon. He does incredible stuff. Javon Baker's got one of the best profiles in the entire class. The reception perception profile, they put out like this chart where they track every route run, so every out route, every over route, every go ball, you name it, and they put together like a success rate on those routes. Javon Baker's whole route tree is like green. Like he ran a bunch of unbelievable routes at UCF. He's a big-bodied guy. He's great at the catch point. I think this is a guy that's going to have a lot more success at the next level than people realize. I'll give you 2 quick stories from up here, from my neck of the woods here. I spoke yesterday to this kid who played at the University of British Columbia. Okay, he played college ball in Canada. He's got 13 top 30 visits, 13 of them. He's been in a different city every single day. Why, you ask? He is a 6'7", 353-pound tackle that ran a verified 4.8 at Pro Day. I mean, you want to talk about athleticism that is completely unheard of? This kid's got it in bunches. The other great story in this class, this Quantez Stiggers is going to become the 3rd player ever drafted that did not play a single game of college football, not in Canada or the U.S. He was committed to an HBCU right when COVID hit. Their season got canceled, so he never got to play. And then he left school due to a tragic death in his family that really, affected him, shook him up. So he decided to leave college. By the time it was time to get back into it, he struggled finding a place to go. Well, he ends up getting convinced to play in the fan-controlled league. You remember that? It was like 7-on-7 indoor ball. He plays up there. He gets scouted by the Toronto Argonauts of the Canadian Football League. He played there this past year, and he won CFL Defensive Rookie of the Year. He had an incredible season. He's also got like 12 or 13 top 30 visits. I've been trying to get on the phone with him. He's got no time. He's in a different city every single day. Those 2 kids might be the best story of the draft next weekend.
What is his measurables, the second kid?
He's tiny. He's a nickel. He's probably a nickel only, but I think he led the league, like the Canadian Football League in PBUs. This past year, he had a bunch of interceptions. Like I said, CFL Defensive Rookie of the Year. It's an unbelievable story. The guy didn't play a single game of college football.
Gotta love these stories, and Justin Melo knows them all at @JustinM_NFL, covering it all for the Draft Network, Titans MCM, Broadway TN, and more.
Well, Justin, I want to get some comparables here for, I think, the kids. Mason Smith, the D-tackle from LSU, to, I don't want to mispronounce his name, the Alabama D-tackle, Ibakwe, or however you pronounce that.
Oh, yeah,
Justin
Ibawigbe, I believe you're talking about.
And Darius Robinson, everybody.
Oh, okay.
So let's put those all in the bucket, and who would we take, or who would be there in the second round if we did?
I mean, Darius Robinson, for me, I've got like a borderline first-round grade on him, so he would be at the top of that list. Oh. I think there's a decent chance he goes in the first round, but I think it's like 50-50 that he's there for the Titans at 38. People are acting like it's impossible. No, we're not talking about a guy, I think, that's going 14 or 15. If he goes in the first round, it's like 28, 29, and you and I both know, you could slide to 38 in a heartbeat, right, if you don't go with that pick there. So, inside outside versatility, 8.5 sacks this year in the SEC. He's rocked up, man. He's a get-off-the-bus kind of kid, right? Like, when you see him, there's an intimidation factor that comes with him. He's a massive human being, and he was outstanding at the Senior Bowl. That's, I think, what helped elevate his stock into a fringe first round. Justin Ibawigbe, the Alabama kid you're talking about, it's weird because I hate to say that an Alabama kid's being slept on. I mean, when does that happen? But it feels like it sort of is the case with this guy. He had a couple injuries early on in his career. I think that's why people are sleeping on him. He's finally healthy this year. He had 7 sacks at Alabama this year from the interior. I think he's he's not going to be a true edge, but I think he can play a couple positions across the line. He's really good in the run game. He's tough. He's physical. He knows how to shed blocks. He's a gap penetrator. I'm a huge fan of his. Like, I say this about maybe a couple guys, but I think there's a chance he goes in the second round. He might be one of those guys that goes in the second round and people are like, wow, I didn't see that one coming. But he's a really good football player. I feel a little similarly about Mason Smith, the D-tackle from LSU. I wrote a story on him yesterday. He had 12 in-person visits, so another guy that's in high demand. If you remember, he came to LSU as like a 5-star. He was a big-time kid coming out of high school. Didn't quite reach those expectations, had a couple injuries, but I thought this past year he played his best ball. He was finally healthy. He appeared in most of their games, and he put up the best numbers of his career. He felt like, he was so proud of the season that he had. He told me, he goes, I could have gone back for another year, but I was so happy with the year that I had. I felt, content enough where it was time to make the jump to the next level. That potential is still within him. That 5-star potential is right there. Again, a good year in the SEC at LSU. Teams are super intrigued. That's why they're bringing him in person to see what they think they can get out of him. I think with him, you're talking about another potential day 2 pick.
What about this slot receiver from Virginia, Malik Washington? I know Rhett Brown was talking about him yesterday, and I would love when you're analyzing him, kind of compare him and the differences between him and Kyle Phillips with the Titans.
Well, I believe he's even smaller than Kyle Phillips, if memory serves me correctly. Yeah, I think he's like 5'9", right? So he's a super small kid, but the production speaks for itself, right? Like over 1,000 yards this year, and I think more than 100 catches. So it's like the numbers jump out at you. They jump off the screen. You watch that film on offense. You watch that tape. Like that offense centered around him, right? He was the focal point of that offense, and I think you'll agree with me, Blaine. I like a guy that's coming into the league and has been in those situations, right? Like when the offense needed a big play, they looked his way. We got third down. We want to move the chains. They looked his way, right? Red zone, game on the line, whatever, even though he's not the biggest guy, they looked his way due to that separation quickness. He was uncoverable at the East-West Shrine Bowl. I'll tell you that right now. That showcase for him was outstanding because they couldn't cover him. Now, that's being honest, that's an environment that's perfect for him, right? Because you're those one-on-one practice reps. When you're a smaller guy, short area quickness, you're twitchy, you're going to uncover, right? So really interesting football player. I don't think he doesn't go until day 3, maybe the 5th or 6th round even. But again, another guy, don't let him get lost in this class because the production and the traits are certainly present.
One more guy, and that is a safety, my cousin there, Cole Bishop at Utah.
Look, Cole Bishop, a great Senior Bowl, okay? Outstanding Senior Bowl. Thought he did great things. You turn the tape on at Utah, I see a guy that can play essentially any coverage scheme in any situation, okay? When he was probably to play single high, 2 high coverage shells, he was on the back end. He showed enough range to do that. I thought he was even more of a natural, though, in the box because he loves coming downhill. He loves fitting in the run game. And I think he ran like a 4.33 or 4.34 at the combine.
What?
He's athletic and twitchy enough to come downhill and cover slots and tight ends one-on-one in man coverage. So teams are going to really appreciate that versatility. This is not a very good safety class, okay? All of them, it feels like, are either small or tested poorly, like guys like Tyler Nubin, who I was pretty high on going into the process. So many question marks in this class. I think, Blaine, if you were in this class, you'd be the first one drafted. I think there's no doubt about it. But Cole Bishop from Utah, he might be the first one because I think when I look at all of them, I put all of them in a bubble. I think he's the one that's checked the most boxes for me. None of them have a chance going in the first round, but I do think at least one of them will hear their name called in the second, and that could very well be Cole Bishop.
Oh, there you have it, Justin Melo of at NFL Draft Network.
What's the best scenario for the tackles for the Titans, do you think, at 38? Let's say that Neighbors or Odunze is there and they say, we're just going to take him. We'll take a tackle at 38. What's the best possible scenario to find a left tackle?
The two guys that I would keep coming back to is two guys, again, they've got a chance back end of first, but I think there's a very good chance they'll be there at 38. It's the BYU kid, Kingsley Suamatia, and the Arizona kid, Jordan Morgan. In Morgan's case, the arm length leaves a little to be desired, but I don't think it's totally prohibitive to him playing tackle. I've heard the Ravens, by the way, they've got a lot of interest in him around. I think they're picking at 30. But if he's there at 38, I mean, look, he played in the Pac-12 this year. I don't care what anybody says. I know this is SEC country. I've got no bias here. Pac-12 was the best conference in college ball this year, and he was outstanding. Like, the tape was very, very good. Lots of great matchups against very good pass rushers, guys that are going to get drafted all throughout the Pac-12. In fact, one of them is my number one ranked edge in Laiatu Latu out of UCLA. So I love the tape on Jordan Morgan. I think he's plug and play. He's not going to be a tackle for every team due to the arm length, but it's not like Peter Skoronski short. He's a little bit longer than that. I think he'll get a chance at tackle, and if he does, I can see him plugging a hole there at left tackle. And the BYU kid is he's big, he's physical, he's strong. I'm glad you said left tackle specifically because there's not a ton of them. Once you start getting into those second and third rounds, right? You got like the Texas kid's a right tackle, the Washington kid is a right tackle. Those are mid-round tackle guys. I think Kingsley Suamatia, the BYU kid, he's one of very few legitimate left tackles. The other would be Houston's Patrick Paul. He's a little more raw, a little technically green. I've got higher grades on the other two, the BYU kid, the Arizona kid. Those would be my top two solutions if I'm looking for my left tackle at 38.
All right, my late round draft crush is Nathaniel Watson, linebacker Nathaniel Watson. I've been fixated on him. Late round pick, it's a position of need. Am I way off on this? Am I barking up the right tree? Where am I on Nathaniel Watson?
That's the Mississippi State kid, right? If memory serves me correctly. I'm a fan. I'm a big fan. I got to know him really well, actually, throughout this process. We did a great profile on him in Mobile at the Senior Bowl. I thought he was good out there. Like those Mississippi State kids, Dina Kowalski, Jeffrey Simmons, Titans have had a lot of luck with them. They're tough, they're physical, they're nasty, okay? He comes downhill, he fits the run. He's one of the most physical linebackers in this class. Again, not an outstanding class of linebackers. A lot of them are very athletic, but a bit more, again, green technically. Like there are a lot of guys that are still learning how to play the position and how to play football with discipline, in all honesty. Like there are a lot of them that are interesting projects that have got great sideline to sideline range. But when it comes to diagnosing and pre-snap and being able to fit the run and get off blocks and be just a technically sound, smart football player, I think Nathaniel Watson's one of the smartest ones in the class. Again, really enjoyed getting to know him. People, make sure you go read that interview on thedraftnetwork.com. You're not off on that at all, Mickey. I'm a big fan of his. Really good day 3 prospect.
There you go, hanging out with Justin Melo, just telling us everything about the NFL draft.
Well, Justin, I was going to ask you about just receivers, but I'm going to broaden that up a little bit to help you out here. What top, top first-round draft pick has the greatest risk for bust?
Wow, that's a tough one. I think the Georgia kid, he's going to go early, Marius Mims, right? He played right tackle at Georgia. There's good reason he's going to go early, right? The movement skills, the athleticism is off the charts. It jumps off the screen. But you're talking about a guy that played like less than 600 total snaps over the past 2 years. right? He wasn't an instant starter when he got there. That doesn't bother me. That's how stuff sometimes happens at Georgia. You got to wait your turn behind other older, talented kids. But when he did get into the lineup, he was in and out of it, right? Like, I think it was under 300 snaps this year, and it was under 400 the year before. So when you're just talking about experience, I think that, that obviously comes with a bit of a buyer beware tag, if you will. Now, I hate even saying it because I am high on him. Like, when you turn the tape on, it's a dead giveaway. I might have said this on this show, but I was watching the tape with him, watching tape on him with an NFL agent a few weeks ago, and he said, "Where is he?" He knew his jersey number. He goes, "I don't think he's on the field." I said, "He is. Look at the arm length. It's a dead giveaway." That game, it was actually against Tennessee, I think. He was wearing a different jersey number.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, he was honoring a teammate that passed away, so they allowed him to wear a different jersey number. We still knew who he was because of the arm length. I mean, no one else out there has got 35, 36-inch arms. It's that kid right there. He's in a stance and his arms are touching the ground, for crying out loud. So he's in a, like, I'm infatuated with the traits. I get why everyone else is infatuated with the traits. There's a great reason he's going to go early, but there's just not a lot of experience. So when you're picking a guy in the top 15, top 20, if you're expecting him to play right away, there might be a bit of an acclimation period there with that kid.
Well, here's a question I think a lot of draft experts and guys sitting in, GM sitting in the war room there on draft day is kind of outside of quarterback, give me your top 5 ranking of what position is the most valuable in today's NFL. We all know quarterback is number 1, but who are your other 5?
I always say this, and this is, I say this in arguments all the time, especially against Titans fans that don't want an edge rusher at number 7. And I get why you don't, but let's look at it like this, okay? There are 3 positions historically that have a chance to go number 1 overall, okay? It's the quarterback, it's the offensive tackle, and it's the edge rusher. What do all 3 have in common? They all involve the quarterback, right?
Yep.
Either the quarterback himself, the guy that protects the quarterback, or it's the guy that tries to hit the quarterback, okay? Those 3 positions have gone number 1 overall every year, I think, since 1997. So there's no doubt about it that offensive tackle and edge rusher are the follow-up positions to quarterback. I would round out my other 2. I mean, wide receiver, they're going to fly off the board on Thursday for a good reason. We'll probably get 3 of them in the top 10. You see how much money they're making nowadays, right? Like, we're getting over $30 million a year. We will be very soon when Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase sign their new contracts. That would be number 4. Number 5 for me is a bit of a toss-up. I'd probably go with D-tackle, like a dominant 3-tech. A guy like Jeffrey Simmons, I think you see the type of value he has on the field. Quinnen Williams, Chris Jones, these guys have been so important to their teams that made either Super Bowl runs or playoff runs. It's funny. A couple of days ago, I would have said cornerback, right? I would have said corner, probably 5th. You got to stop the pass. I'm going to give you guys a fact you probably don't know. Do you realize right now, and this blew me away because it didn't line up with what I thought. Right now, we have more guards making $20 million a year than we have cornerbacks. Right now in the league, there are more guards making $20 million a year than we have cornerbacks. As of right now.
No way.
100%. Wow. Look it up. On Spot Rack, more guards. Look, Robert Hunt got $20 million this year from the Carolina Panthers, right? Look at the deal that Landon Dickerson got from I think it was 4 years, 464 or 3, something along those lines. Like, that's the type of money these guys are getting. Look at corner. Jalen Johnson. We all thought he was going to get $20 million a year from the Bears. He didn't get that. Look at some of the other big corners that came off the market. They didn't get that. So for whatever reason, look, your value, positional value, is what NFL teams tell you it is. And for whatever reason, look at L'Jarius Sneed with the Titans. I thought that was a fairly team-friendly deal from an annual average perspective. That didn't hit $20 million either. Look around the league. Your value is what it tells you it is. For whatever reason, the NFL is telling us cornerbacks right now are not $20 million players, but guards are.
There you have it.
Dude, people had to pull over the car, Melo, to just factor through the things that you're telling here. It's like the first time they heard the first Boston album, they had to pull over the car when they heard More Than a Feeling. You're blowing people's minds here. Fantastic stuff. We're going to catch up again soon. At @JustinM_NFL. Remember, several of these guys, he's already said he's written draft profiles for. So go check it out. Draft Network. Also his work. Got to shout out Titans MCM and Broadway TM. Thank you, sir. And happy draft week coming up next week.
Pleasure's all mine, fellas. You know where to find me. We'll catch up soon.
Yes,
Appreciate it,
sir.
bro.
Justin Melo. Gosh, always great catching up with him. How about that for a